Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are as you're watching this video. This is Turgon the Wise bringing you a new video today. And today is Bag End Edition. Woo! We've been chilling in Bag End for a couple weeks now and just really enjoying our time here, taking a nice little breaky poo from the game. It's been a wild last I don't know, year playing the game with all the changes that have been happening, and always such a pleasure playing with Yude's fine team. Just to give you a quick history, in case someone is new to the game or to my videos or to the community, Yude's is a merged team. We merged a little over a year ago. It was January 24, I believe, when the merge occurred between two prominent role play teams. The first role play team was a war band called Nudes. They were an evil RP warband. And the second team was a good side RP fellowship called Yadu. Now, if you don't know this already, I had played with Yadu for 3 seasons. I took a season off, and then when I came back, they had done the merge with Nudes to form Yudes. So, just to be silly, people love calling us Yuds sometimes, and I don't mind personally, but I just want folks thinking about it. Do you say Nuds or would you say Nudes? Because it's Yadu and Nudes form Yudes, not Yadu and Nuds form Yuds. I'm just joking around. You can call us whatever you like. You can call me Sally for all I care. Um, but in this edition, I really wanted to compare my three accounts and give you a little history on that. So I have, of course, my original account, which is now currently renamed as Batukas the Wise, and we'll take a look at that account shortly. That's my original account, and then in the last year, I've been gifted two accounts by dear old departed friends who I had played with virtually every season since the first season of this game. The one account is my quote unquote Kraken account, and it used to belong to my good friend D Trope. D Trope, I hope you're doing well, brother. And we'll look at that in a little bit. And the second account was from my dear friend Azurist, who's also retired from the game. And that's more of like I call it a baby whale. Some people might refer to it as a dolphin. It's kind of similar in, size, strength, etc. So that's the account that I'm on actually right now. This is the Azurist account. It was renamed as Timdor for a couple of seasons while my buddy Timdor piloted the account for me. I took over this season and renamed it as Azurist the Wise. And then Timdor played it, and then I will rename it back to Azurist the Wise whenever we start our next season. And you can see the long history with Yadu, and then I also played in Loki with him. I don't have the Loki flag because I left for my own personal reasons. And then I was with Ngup and Serve and Gold and Eldar and Gold. I was not with Zeta, but I was on the server with him. I was in Erebor playing with a team called LOIG. Good times, some history there for you. So I wanted to review this account specifically because first, I'm kind of moving programmatically from the quote unquote least to most strong accounts. So looking at this account, what makes this quote unquote a baby whale? Now, to me, this is all subjective. People talk about krakens and whales and dolphins and baby whales and minnows and crabs and whatever other sea creature you can think of. To me, what makes this a baby whale account is that there is one viable formation for PvP, and its strength is relative depending on who you're fighting, and that's the case for everyone, in every formation in the game. This formation does really well. It'll completely massacre free-to-play players or um, crabs, minnows, some other dolphins, and even other baby whales it'll perform well against. But when you go against a whale or a kraken, it's going to get squished. And that is because, so like when you look at the commanders that it's using, there's kind of different variations on the meta right now. But for right now, I call this the old meta, which is Sauron, um, Gandalf the White, Dane, and Beorn. This was the meta for a long time prior to the 2.5 update, and it's still perfectly viable today. And this account is underscores that. So they're all considered pretty much S tier commanders, and they all have all gold gear. There's no purple on these, right? However, you may notice that some of the gear is not max upgraded. 4 stars, 4 stars, 4 stars in terms of the upgrades here. It has some refinements, but there's nothing that has been fully refined on any of these commanders. 4, 4, 4, 3, 4, 4, 4, 3, 4, 4, 4, right? So there's very little max upgraded gear. Nothing is max refined. None of the commanders are Zenith. Um, Dane and Beorn are above R10, and Gandalf the White and Sauron are below R10. And that is significant because once you hit R10, you can max out 3 full skill trees. And I cannot do that. Whereas once you hit, let's go here, R11, you can see now I have 3 max skill trees, and that is significant. That makes a significant difference in terms of your combat capabilities at level 50, and also like earlier, but before you hit level 50, PvP. You shouldn't really PvP with commanders just as a matter of best practice. If your commanders aren't at least 40, you shouldn't be PvPing with them unless you are insanely strong and it's insanely early and you're going to beat this other person because they have like crap gear or whatever. But for me, I really, especially on this account, I don't PvP before level 40. And at level 40, even though my Dane is R15, you're not going to have 3 maxed out trees. Once you hit like, I think it's like Z10, then you get 3 maxed out trees at level 40, and that really makes a huge difference. Like having this stun at level 5 makes a huge difference for Dane. Like you kind of reach a new level with him when that happens. And then stopping healing for the target for a round can also be really impactful, although healing in general is not a big thing right now in the game. It's every little bit can contribute towards an end result. So that's how I look at this particular account in terms of it being a quote unquote baby whale. None of the gear is max upgraded or max refined. No Zenith commanders, and a couple of the commanders are below R10, but they are all S tier commanders. They do have like good, like quote unquote best in slot gear for the most part. I would like my Sauron to have a Reckoning instead of the Noldor sword, but I don't have Reckoning, so this is what I have. So this is what I work with. But the rest of it's pretty good. It's got good defense, good defense. So he's thick enough, and the thick armor also contributes, and the fortitude also contributes. So he's not as anywhere near as beefy as my Sauron on Batukas or Turcano, but he's still solid. Like against, like I said, free to play Dolphins, minnows, smaller players, this formation performs extremely well. And I'll show you one other thing real quick that kind of underscores that. The first season I played this account was the big season where we faced 10 other fellowships, just us and our partner gods. You can check out that video to see the recap of that. That was my 16th season playing Lord of the Rings Rise to War. And I got 3 million merit on this account. And that's just purely a product of picking and choosing your battles and playing hard. So that is the Azurist account. I'm going to take a moment to pause and switch over to the next account. All right, I'm back and I've logged into my original account, which is Batukas the Wise. Batukas had took over piloting my account 4 seasons ago after I was so generously gifted the Detrope account, which we renamed as Turcano, and we'll go through that account shortly. So you can see my history here as Turgon the Wise. The last season I played this account full time was the season against Meta and Chaos, Pran, and Lame and Eilil in order. Where that first season that Yudes teamed up with Gods, and I ended up with 3.27 million merit that season, which I'm extremely proud about because that season had a lot of Krakens, and this account did not hold up great against a lot of those players. But by sure activity, will, determination, I got that mark, and out felt good after this very, very boring season. This was another boring season. I only got a million merit. That was the season 2.0 dropped. This was the season we lost against Pran, Prak, Ibis, VSOP, 2.5 million merit. And then War of the Ring. I was actually the number one um, in terms of merit that season at 4.16 million. I played really hard. That's the only time I was ever the top of the merit board. And that was the last time I got to play this wonderful campaign, War of the Ring. I missed this campaign deeply and wish they would bring it back. Um, but such is life. And then this Rebuilding Glory campaign was my first season with Yadu, 3.12 million. And then I played a Lord of the Rings, I'm sorry, War of the Ring campaign, and it shows Gil Galad, which is really funny because I played as evil this season, so I couldn't even use him if I wanted to. My main commander this season was Khaldun. He was an absolute thug back when purple gear could still be viable. This is my highest merit total on this account at 4.7 million. This is one of the most fun seasons I ever played. Feel free to check out my video on that. And then you can see, these Engup serve, Gold, Eldar, Gold, and LOIG, like we talked about before. So that's my history on this account. I consider this account a whale account. Why do I consider this a whale account? Well, there's still only one viable formation for PvP, but it's strong versus pretty much everyone other than really big whales and Kraken. So let's take a look at it real quick. So again, I don't have any Zenith commanders, but all four of the commanders in this formation are above R10, which is significant, like I was talking about before. And it's still the old meta, the pre 2.5 meta, that is still viable. Um, and it does well in general. So I've got all of the gear max upgraded on all four of the commanders. Max upgrade. Max upgrade. I don't have anything max refined. So that is part of the reason why it's not a Kraken formation. And there are other pieces of gear that I could put in here that would actually make them stronger by just a little bit. Like Orcish Great Helmet is a nice alternative. It gets you some command, it gets you some defense, and you don't sacrifice all your commander attack, like how you do when you put a Cask of Submerged Isle on them. And then I also counterbalance that with the massive breastplate that also gives him a little bit of commander attack and defense. Uh, and I like having the sharp blade formation set bonus on this. Um, he can do a lot of damage, but he's slow. He's very susceptible to crowd control, CC, madness, stun, because he's so slow. But if he gets to hit, he hits really hard. My Sauron is also very tanky, very beefy, all best in slot tank gear. You got the defense, the command, 642 command. The other thing I just wanted to draw is Dane's command stat. And then, like I said, he's got 15 and 18, so a little bit of troop defense. Not enough to be super impactful, but every little bit can help a little bit, and that's important. Whereas Sauron is just absolutely, he's very difficult to kill. He's always my last commander killed. and he's got the two-piece evasive action set. So first 3 rounds, that mitigates 10% damage, and then he's also got power overwhelming. So if you stun or madden this formation during that time, he takes 10% less damage then too. So he's very, very difficult to kill. And then getting off the white, again, this is what you want in terms of equipment for him. High focus. Um, He's beefy between the Divide and Conquer and the Fortitude sets, and he's fast as hell at 49 base speed. This is a pretty quick Gandalf the White. I don't think he really needs to be too much faster. There's not a lot of commanders in the game that are running faster than this at this point, other than some people that really prioritize making their Saurons fast so that he can do a lot of CC, or other Gandalf the Whites or Skullhelms. Um, those would be the three top ones. There might be a few Beorns that reach 49 if you throw in the speed set bonus, the agility set bonus for him. He could be a little bit faster than this Gandalf the White, but it's a fraction of the players that I face in general. Um, there are always exceptions. Life is a bell curve after all. And speaking of Beorn, here's my Beorn. And you can see I've got the two-piece agility set for him. So that boosts his base speed from 39 to 44 during combat. So he's going to go faster than most Saurons, most Sarumans, all of those other typical commanders that do crowd control, that inflict madness or stun, other than Speedy Gandalf the Whites. So and once he becomes a bear in round 4, then he becomes completely immune to stun and madness. So going earlier in battle will be good for him at that point too, because he hits a lot harder as well. Again, I've mimicked um, the Great Orc helm, Orcish Great Helm. So he gets the command, the attack, and the unit defense, as well as the massive breastplate. It just happened to work out this way. This account does not have as much gear to select from to make these pairings, and the other account that I reviewed with you, the Azuris account, has even less than this one. So that's another big reason why there's 3 very distinct levels between playing a baby whale or lower account versus a whale account. Because this formation looks really strong, but when you look at the depth of options that I have, it's not that great. So I really like this account. I think it does really, really well. It performs well against most other whales. And a lot of times I'll fight a Kraken, and if the RNG goes my way, I'll live. If the RNG doesn't go my way, then I'll get squished. But yeah, so that is really just giving you kind of drawing lines between the baby whale and the whale account. Um, it does okay. I really like it. I like this account. It's fun to play, and Badu does a great job playing it for me, and I appreciate him very much. And I also appreciated all the help that Timdor gave to me on that account as well. He is retired from the game, I believe, or at least from competitive play. Maybe he's playing in a little bit more of a um, casual capacity, but he's no longer playing that account. It's going to be all me whenever I get into our next season. So that is the Batukas, the OG Turgon the Wise account. I'm gonna switch now over to the big boy, the Kraken, Turcano. Be back with you in just a minute. All right, I'm back, and we're on the big boy account now, Turcano the Wise. Now, the reason why I chose to do this one last instead of first is because there's a lot more to talk about with this account. First, to go through the history, like I had said before, this used to be the account of my good friend D Trope, who was with me all the way since S1 in LOIG. We played together in Gold. We were in Eldar together, Gold, Serve, Engup. And then this 7th season here that we played, we split off from Loki. There was a lot of drama that season because Loki and Yadu had history, and we didn't really want to be in the middle of that towards the end. So he ended up dropping from Loki and creating this NSFW. um, fellowship, and I joined him. So that's why we don't have the Loki flag for that season. Then this is the season that I went on my OG account and played War of the Ring Evil, and he went to Yadu. So he played 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons with Yadu. We were together on this server when 2.0 dropped, and then he went and played with the great team known as Myth, Meta, Rack, Bait. He played a couple seasons with them, and then decided to hang it up and gifted me this absolute gem of an account. And I hope we've done you good justice in the 4 seasons that we've played. We've gotten 6.3 million merit there, 8.2 million merit there. 2.5 this season. This was kind of a slow season. There wasn't much competition. And then last season, we were back up to 3.5, fighting aces and order with Yudes and Lame. So that's the history of the Turukano account. If you're not familiar with Turukano, this is the name in the ancient elven language called the Quenya, which was the language of the Noldor elves. This is basically just another way of saying Turgon the Wise. Turukano, uh, I don't know. I thought it was cool to go with the Quenya, and there's some other reasoning behind it, but I'm not going to take the time to go into it. Now, let's talk about the commanders. So on this account, the main formation has Saruman, who is R11, all best in slot gear, most of it refined fully. He is right now a really hot commander in this game because he eats White Council with Head of White Council, as well as of many colors. He just eats through White Council because he inflicts focus, poison, and burn damage at the same time. And he can do it twice to 3 formations each round. That's absolutely unbelievable. So, um, he also has this, inflicts madness and boosts damage to targets that have been maddened or stunned by 5%. I mean, all of these things just make him so valuable to any formation. Uh, and then also with him, I pair Bayorn because after round 4, when he becomes a bear in round 4, he is stun madness immune, like I was talking about before. So you can see I run a little bit different gear on Bayorn. He's got a base speed of 45, and then you tack on the speed from the agility bonus that boosts him up to 50. So he would be a little bit quicker than my Gandalf the White on the Batu account. He also has the Harad casks for the unity fence and the command. And then you've got the Berserker's Raiment that gives him some more initiative, um, commander attack, and the Palantir. So he's between the set bonus, not only is he fast, but progressively as the battle continues, he's getting stronger from the Perseverance. So really, really strong. These two do. I've seen both of them do up as much as 180,000 damage. No, their top end damage is not as sexy as Dane, but by virtue of the fact that Dane is so slow and so susceptible to CC, I don't use him in my top formation. I do still use Sauron, who is Z10, and you can see his gear is practically the same as what I was showing you on the Batu account. He's going with fortitude and evasive action. He's extremely beefy, and he does really, really well. And then Gandalf the White, base speed 52 with another 5 to boot. The only commander in the game that is faster than this Gandalf the White is Skullhelm so far that I've seen, which is cool. Um, and he's got a good amount of focus at 229, so he's amping that White Council pretty good. And I've seen him do like 60, 70, 80,000 damage. So he can pump out a little bit himself. So that's the top formation on this. It's this Kraken formation between the Z8 Gandalf the White, the Z10 Sauron, the R14 Beorn, and the R11 Saruman. It works extremely well. I can go head to head with other Kraken and pretty consistently draw. Um, and it'll beat most whales, baby whales, get eaten. The second formation that is PvP viable right now is currently we're using Gil-galad as the tank. It is dependent on elves, of course, so you're going to go with like bow knights um, and probably swans or trolls as the tanking unit. He's got Liang. Liang is great. You get command, you get some defense. That's what you want. Four-piece evasive action set. So the first 3 rounds, he mitigates 24% of all damage. The High Elf helmet is awesome. You also get defense, and I like it for the initiative as well as the command. I don't need more command. Some people might be looking at this and go, why don't you refine this more? I don't need more command. 762 command is plenty. I'm mitigating 43% of all incoming damage just from command. And then you look at all the unit defense he has, the plus 48, the plus 42 here. He is very, very beefy, and he does pretty decent damage himself, actually. I've seen him do like 60, 70,000 damage, maybe even once 80,000 damage with swans. So love Gil-galad. Gil-galad was my favorite commander in 1.0. Gil-galad and Elrond were my two favorite commanders in 1.0. And it's cool to still be able to use him. Unfortunately, elves are not the greatest unit. They're very low in HP, so they're kind of paper. But the evasion is nice on him, and then you beef him up with all that defense. They're still pretty tough to kill, especially like the Bow Knights being a medium-sized unit. They're kind of a unique unit. I wouldn't really use anything else other than Bow Knights. Other than maybe I would try March Wardens if I had them available, just to see how they did. I have not had that opportunity, though. Um, I haven't played Lothlorien in a long time. So that's the tank, and then the damage dealers are going to be your Dane and your Gimli. So Dane is at Z11, Gil-galad Z7, Gimli Z10. This is how you want to set up your Dane. I mean, I really can't think of a way without using 1.0 gear to improve on this product. Completely maxed out, refined, and upgraded Axe of Khazad-dûm, Cask of Submerged Isle, and Palantir. He's got the two-piece might set that boosts his physical damage by 5%. He's got speed from the agility, so this 25 becomes 30 once combat begins. So this is as fast and as hard hitting a Dane as you're going to get. He's got 190 commands, so he can absorb some damage. Plus, like I said, he's got another 48 unit defense there from the Cask of Submerged Isle. So I don't see many Danes that outperform this one unless they've got 1.0 gear that makes them stun immune. Gimli, honestly, Gimli is such a huge disappointment for me in the game right now, and which is funny because he still does well. He's not a bad commander. He's just bad compared to all the other like S tier damage dealing commanders like your Dane, your Beorn, and your Saruman. His top end damage just isn't there. He very, very rarely out damages the three commanders I just mentioned. I don't think I've ever seen him really go beyond 150,000 damage in a battle, and it's just not enough. Maybe it's because of the way that I gear him. If I gave him Dane's gear, maybe he would do more. But this gear is pretty good. He's quick at 29 base agility, and he's getting commander attack, initiative, and you want the focus on him so that you get the bonus from this. You want the keen eye. It's not very hard to reach that though. After they reworked his relic, he also has. I go with the Orcish Great Helmet on him for the command, the defense, the the initiative. So and then the drums of Barad-dûr. So these aren't necessarily your S tier, your best in slot weapon and accessory gear on him. The Berserker's Raiment, I think, is considered best in slot for damage dealing commanders. So he's got that going. Otherwise, the gear is kind of like A or B tier gear, but it still does very, very well. He's very, very strong and does good damage, and it's extra helpful to have in this formation if I run up against another formation running like a Gil-galad or Undying, where that evasion comes into play. He just cuts right through that, and that can be really, really helpful. The fourth commander in this formation is my Z1 Gandalf the Grey. A lot of people are like, why do you have a Z1 Gandalf the Grey? And the answer to that question is because 1.0. And during 1.0, Gandalf the Grey was awesome. He was a direct counter for most Witch Kings. I think there was of some very, very niche Witch King builds that could beat Gandalf the Grey, but they were very, very rare, and only like the top Krakens in the game had it. So I love having this Z1 Gandalf the Grey. He adds another layer. He allows me to have this second formation perform well because he's got White Council and he's got a heal. Mithrandir I prioritize third, and then a couple points in Wizard to boot just for a little bit of extra damage. Command at 484. His focus is at 200. It's kind of like leftover gear for him, and it does the trick. Combination of you got command from the gigantic hammer, you got focus from the gray hat and the fine smoking pipe, and then you get unit defense. So he's pretty beefy. He doesn't go down very easy between the heal, the White Council, the command, and the defense. He does well, and then Glamdring is. I love this relic for him. Damage received by commander's formation -2% is really nice. On top of it, zero refines. So and more command, more focus, more defense. This attack, I usually don't see Gandalf the Grey, his group doing more than 20 or 30,000 damage. So the damage is really negligible. I like even if you took all the points out of the Grey and stuck it into Wizard, it really isn't going to make that much of a difference. So I think the heal is more impactful. So those are the two formations, and just talking through the disparity between these three accounts, it's huge. Like the experience that I have playing these three accounts versus other alts that I have that are free to play, it's like four very distinct experiences playing this game. Free to play is so hard, and playing the Azurist account, like farming, it takes longer to farm because you have less tools to work with. And whereas on the Kraken account, on this account, on Turcano, I can just send my main account and sweep and level him that way and not touch a single tile. And that saves you stamina because it only costs 10 stamina to sweep versus 20 to take a tile. So I can farm with my other commanders, my B and my C teams, while I level my main with uh, sweeping. I don't have that option on the Azurist account at all. But Tukas, I'm going to see what I can do if I can mimic this. I think Batu has enough in the B and C team to be able to kind of take those lower tiles and get farm going and sweep with the main formation, but I don't know. There's like a line that between being able and not being able to do this, and I'm gonna try to feel this out whenever we start our next season. We're just chilling out, enjoying our island here in Bag End. This is welcome to Yude's Island. If you're curious where we are, you're welcome to come and join us. Maybe not necessarily in the team, but you can hang out on the island with us over here. Just having a good time, waiting around, having a lot of fun, sharing a lot of memes, enjoying the community. Uh, it was a very stressful last couple seasons. Gearing up for the big contest with aces and order. And now that that's behind us, we can just kind of chill and have fun and enjoy the game and enjoy each other's company. Because ultimately, that's what Lord of the Rings is about, my friends. It's about forging bonds of fellowship and love. And it's not all just about being cutthroat and competitive. So that's going to do it for my video today. I hope that you found this to be interesting and insightful in some way. Kind of get the wheels turning on stat priority and things like that for different commanders, and feeling through those differences between being a baby whale versus a whale versus a kraken. So you can kind of see how each type of player can operate, and how that creates disparity across the community. Uh, in hindsight, still deeply miss 1.0. Purple gear in 2.0 is crap gear. The stats on a fully upgraded purple piece of gear will not be stronger than the stats on a gold piece of gear that has been upgraded 0 times. It's kind of disgusting. And like if you go back and you watch the video of my 8th season when I played that War of the Ring, and my favorite commander that season was Khaldun, half of his gear was purple, and I wouldn't be able to do that in today's game, um, if we still had War of the Ring, and it makes me sad. I think it makes a lot of people sad, and I hope that the developers and the powers that be that are in charge of decision making for this game, consider doing some more changes to spice it up for us. A lot of the changes that we get are very just fluffy. They're cosmetic. Little things like adding this battery here. Like, it's nice, but you're not changing the core functionality of the game in a meaningful way that's going to impact the user experience in a positive way. And that's what people are clamoring for. Um, it's tiring, the way that they've kind of almost feels like they've given up on this game, and it's sad. Hopefully, we see that turn around as the landscape of the companies who are in charge of this platform, you know, evolve. And I'm gonna keep my hopes up that good things are in store for us, because I've been playing this game for over 3 years now, and I love the game, and I want to see it continue to flourish and do well. But when you're not getting support from the top, it makes it very, very difficult to for the people at the bottom. You got to think about everyone. All right. Thank you so much, my friends, for taking the time to watch my video. I appreciate it. Give me a like, give me a subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, leave it in the comment section below. We'll do this again soon, my friends. I look forward to talking with you again, and hopefully the not so uh, distant future. We'll see. It could be some weeks until we're in our next season. Um, we'll find out. We'll get there when we get there. As always, thanks so much. Take care of yourselves. Stay well. Turgon the Wise, signing off. Cheers.